If you work in the tech sector, you either run a technology company or you work for a technology company and you sell technology, whether it's infrastructure or apps or whatever it might be, this video is for you. I'm going to share in today's 4-Minute Friday just 2 sales tips, 2 sales techniques, things to consider that will help you close more business. And not only close more business, but potentially close it much faster. Create that compulsion for your customers to want to take action. And not just take action, but take action with you. Hey there, welcome to 4-Minute Friday with me, Brian Conway from 𝗖𝗟𝗢𝗦𝗘 𝗠𝗢𝗥. And as I always do, in case this is the first time you're watching one of these or listening to one of these videos or podcasts, I just want to welcome you first of all and just let you know this is where I take a few minutes on a Friday to share with you a tip, a strategy or tactic that will help you make more sales. Now, quite often I base these on something that's happened during the week. This week I was running a couple of my serious selling classes to one of Cisco's largest gold partners here in the UK. And in that course, we have a case study that we look at based on one of my kind of sales experiences a number of years ago. So I thought I'd just talk about that because there's two, as I mentioned in the intro there, 2 kind of key tips that you can take away from this situation that I think will help anybody close more sales and, as I said, also often make those sales happen faster. So let me talk to you a little bit about this company. I'll just go to the whiteboard here to do this. So a number of years ago, I had an account which was a car rental company, okay, and that I used to look after. They were quite a major European car rental organization. And one of the things this organization had was a direct connection to the DVLA, the Driving License or Vehicle Licensing Authority here in the UK, so that they could check the validity of somebody's license and make sure that they hadn't been banned or whatever, and therefore it was appropriate to rent them a car. Now, at certain times of day, this connection, due to the volume of requests, checks, would get very, very slow. So the performance of that connection would drop, which meant the time it took to carry out those checks would go up. And therefore, this meant that there were queues often that were formed at the car rental centres of people waiting to obviously rent a vehicle. Now, when I'm talking to the IT manager, he knew that he had a problem with the connections and that it was slow at certain times of day, but didn't really understand the impact that had to the business. Because what I found out from talking to the ops director, who was ultimately responsible for each of these car rental centres and their performance and etc., he said, yes, often when we have these queues and when the systems are slow, we actually get people that decide to walk, so to speak, because they're not very happy. And typically they will go to maybe one of our competitors who may be on the same site. So if you think about it like at an airport or whatever, quite often you'll have a number of different car rental desks that you can go to. So he knew he was losing maybe 1 to 2 customers a day. So first kind of tip or lesson I want you to learn from this is sometimes your current contact, particularly if it's in IT, may not truly understand the impact that the problem is having to the business. They just know that technology has a bit of an issue. So why is this important? Well, talking to this ops director, what I discovered was, as I said, this happens 1 to 2 times per day. Okay, so 1 to 2 times per day, somebody will leave their car rental centre and go to one of their competition. Once a day, maybe not that big a deal. The thing is, I then asked, what's the average order value? And it turns out at the time, I believe it's significantly more than this now, but it was about £247. So it was ranging between about £80 a day to rent a car right up to about £500 or £600 a week for 6-7 day rental. So the average was about £247. So again, 250 quid once a day, not that big a deal perhaps. Maybe it's not even worth kind of thinking about. And maybe if the IT director knew that, again, you may be thinking, it's only once 250 quid a day. In the grand scheme of the billions that we turn over, that's not really that big an issue. However, it turns out that they also had 57 at that time car rental centres. So if this is happening 365 days, once a day, one person once a day, across 57 sites, this actually equates to about 5.12 something million pounds. Now it sounds like a problem, doesn't it? £5 million being lost per annum purely because once a day somebody walks. Doesn't sound that big a deal in isolation, but when you amplify it up. So here's the 2 points that I want you to take away from this lesson. Point 1, extend your contact strategy. Okay, who you talk to. And secondly, discover the metrics and the numbers of how this problem is impacting your customer's business. Because when you do these 2 things, 1, you can typically find the size and importance of the issue to the business. So you're getting outside of IT and talking to the organization. And secondly, you can start to put some measurable value, which is what that £5 million was all about. And that's only if 1 person. If it's 2, then it's 10 million. The problem is compounding. And that was only 1 issue that we're having with some of their systems. So we're able to identify lots of value. And a number like that, as I said at the beginning, will compel your customer to want to fix it much quicker. They're not going to want to get into an ITT situation and spend 3 to 4 months selecting a vendor to fix a solution, or IT may, but the ops director or whoever this is ultimately impacting as far as their operations don't. They want to resolve this problem, this pain point ASAP. So think about that. Extend your contact strategy, tip number 1, and always look for measurable value, metrics that you can use to build your value proposition, your business justification, whatever you might want to call it. But it just takes having the conversations and understanding the business impact, the implications. The I of serious is all about the implications, and that's where this short class today would sit. So I hope you found that useful. I hope it's got thinking about your own contact strategies, the type of questioning that you have, and not just getting focused on the feature and functionality of the technology, but how that technology has been used within the business and the value that it ultimately delivers. Right, probably, as always, longer than 4 minutes. So those of you new to this, you'll have to get used to the fact that 4-minute Fridays are usually closer to 8. But anyway, more importantly, I want to get the value and the message across to you. So that's it for this week. Please do like, share, comment. I really appreciate it to help kind of get this message out there. And in the meantime, until next week when you're back selling, I hope you have a great weekend. But think about this as you do start to engage with your customers next week, and I guarantee it will start to help you find more opportunities, bigger opportunities that close quicker, have more value for both you and your customer, probably more importantly. That's it for this week. I'm Brian Conway. This has been 4-Minute Friday. For more tips and tricks, just go to 𝗖𝗟𝗢𝗦𝗘 𝗙𝗟𝗢𝗑. Lots of free stuff there. And until I see you again, take care. Bye.